Welcome back to the class. So we'll continue our discussion. We'll continue our discussion. In the last class, we were discussing about the first chapter concept. So what is second chapter concept? So what is the name of a second chapter? What we started to discuss. What is the name of that? Globe. Is it not? It is the main concept. What we will be discussing in this chapter, globe. So in that there are two important factors, two important things which we need to discuss. It's about latitudes and longitudes. You may call it as a longitudes or longitudes, anything. So latitudes and longitudes, it's a two important things what we need to discuss here. Last class I told you about the globe. Then what is globe? What is globe? We discuss. Isn't it? What is globe? Yes. Good. Globe is a true model of Earth. It's a model of Earth. It shows exact shape, but it's not exact shape. So globe is in a sphere. It's in a spherical shape, but our Earth exact shape, our Earth's exact shape is geoid. You know about all these things. So this globe that depicts, that explains the exact size of a continent, countries, islands, and the water bodies which is present on the Earth's surface, exactly on the surface of a globe. So we know the importance of this globe. Last class we discussed. To get a knowledge about the places, about the continents, countries, and about the water bodies on the Earth's surface, globe is very much important. In the classrooms, it's very much important. We can carry that globe and we can get to know the structure of Earth with the help of a globe. So that's about, and we can get to know the places. We can search our places. We can go according to that places with the help of directions by using this globe, isn't it? Suppose if you want to go from India to Pakistan, by making use of the globe, we can take the directions like southwest. By the help of a globe, we can move towards southwest and get a Pakistan there, isn't it? So same like that, we have discussed about the importance, and we have some more important things in that. Like a globe, I have drawn the pictures of a globe, and I've shown you how it looks like. So here, the globe that rotates itself, and the last class we discussed. Globe, that means like Earth. Earth rotates itself and that revolves around the sun. Revolving. It revolves around the sun and it rotates itself. When it rotates itself, that rotates with one point. Like the imaginary line that passes through that globe, which makes this globe to rotate. The globe rotates as like the Earth rotates. We have to manually, we need to push that, then it rotates. So it's a globe, we discussed in the last class. So here it's a needle. It's a needle, like it's a one long needle which makes this Earth to rotate. And it is fixed in a tilted manner. It's not fixed in a straight, it's fixed in the tilted manner. The needle fixed in the tilted manner. Why? Because our Earth positioned exactly like this in the solar system. It's tilted. In the solar system, it's tilted. It's not exactly positioned like a straight. So it's a true model that should be same like Earth. We call this as a axis with the name axis. So axis is a needle which passes through the center of the Earth and which is fixed in tilted manner, and the Earth rotates like a globe which rotates with the help of this axis line. So it's called as axis. It's a point like a concepts. The words are terms, you may say. Axis. Like a straight or long needle. Otherwise, guys. in so which helps that needle which helps globe to rotate. Is called axis. So it's a line which passes through globe, and with the help of this needle or this axis the globe rotates. It's an imaginary line, but with the globe we can see. So we have an axis in earth, but it's not visible to us, but here it's visible in the globe. Same like the latitudes and longitudes are not visible on the earth's surface, but it's visible in the globe. On globe it's visible, we have drawn that. But same like this, the axis also is not visible, it's an imaginary line. And with the help of this axis and the calculations, we can calculate that our earth is tilted, it's not positioned in the straight, it's tilted. With the help of this axis, we can get the information about that. As like we get with the help of latitude and longitude, we get the information of change in temperature and time. Same like that, with the help of this axis, we will get information that our earth is tilted. It's an imaginary line. Axis is an imaginary line. Imaginary line is only it's found or only it's fixed in a globe. It's not found exactly, which is not found really in a earth. And like suppose it's a globe, this axis is fixed in between, in the center of a globe. It's fixed center of a globe, but it's not found in a earth. It's not found. It's only imagination. To make us to understand, they have fixed in the globe, that's it, but it's not there really in the earth. It's about axis. Then now we will discuss about the poles. What do you mean by pole? So here it's a globe. What is this? Axis. It's a stand and it's axis. Here the two flat surface on the earth surface is called as both pole. Otherwise the end of the axis, it's called as a pole. The both the pole, otherwise the two flat in the north and south, two flat surface of earth is called as a pole. Is that clear? So we have a name for this pole. What is that name? According to the directions. What is that name? Yes, it's a north pole. Why? Because it is there in the northern direction. So it is a northern hemisphere, it is a southern hemisphere. This pole which is there in the north, so it is called as a north pole, and here we have a south pole. So there are two poles. So poles are two flat surface on earth surface. In the bottom, like the top and down of the earth. So we have a tool like okay, the top northernmost point of axis, like northmost point of axis is called North Pole, and southmost point of axis is called South Pole. These are the two poles. Right on this. So here the axis, like it's a needle, the long needle which is fixed through the globe, and it is in a tilted manner, and which helps globe to rotate. is called as axis. It's a needle and it's imaginary line. It's an imaginary line. The needle, like an axis, is imaginary line, but it is found, we can see, and it is physically present in the globe, only in the globe, but it's not present in the earth. So it's called as imaginary line. The poles. The poles are like the two most points in the northern side and southern side. It's a flat surface. The pole areas are the flat surface. As I told, our earth is not the sphere. Our earth is in the not sphere structure. It's in a geoid. That means in the equator, like in a center, it's bulged out. In the top and the north, it is somewhat flat. In the top and north, it's somewhat flat. So this flat surface is called as the poles. The pole, the fourth northern pole and southern pole. In the top and bottom, we have flat surface. So it's not in a circle or in a sphere, it's in a geoid. So it's called as a pole. In the northern direction, we call it north pole. In the southern direction, we call it south pole. Right down, is that all? In the top and the bottom are down. The northernmost point is called as north pole. Southernmost point of axis is the south pole and north. Is it over? So now we discussed the globe. We know what is the globe. Globe is a true model of Earth. We'll go for the two important concepts. It's about the first one, the latitudes. Latitudes. There are two concepts. Till now what we discussed, it's all basic and the term. We need to remember all those things. I hope you understood about globe, axis and pole. These are three concepts, three terms we discussed about. And now about the latitudes. So what is latitude? So what are the things we can see on the globe? What are the things that globe shows to us, or which present in the globe? Means on the surface of the globe, like continent, information about continents, water bodies, and the routes, land routes, sea routes. We can get information, and along with that, we have a lines, circles, which is drawn on the globe. It's all latitudes and longitudes. Then what is latitude? The latitudes, the first one, like suppose if I ask you, what is vada pav? Then what must be your answer? What is vada pav? It's a snack, it's not. The first main thing that you need to say what it is. Vada pav, it's a snacks, name of a snacks. Same like if I ask you what is earth. What is earth? Yes, earth is a planet. Then what is India? India is a country. Same like that, what is latitude? Latitude is a imaginary line. It's an imaginary line. Imaginarily we have drawn on the globe and map. Only on a globe and map it's drawn imaginarily, and it is not there on the earth's surface. So this imaginary lines that gives information. Exactly it is calculated, and what we draw the latitudes on the globe, it's scientifically measured. And it is very much important, but it's not there on the earth's surface. It's not found on the earth's surface, but it's imaginary line which is only drawn on globe and map. It is an imaginary line. Which is drawn on map and globe. Only map and globe. It's drawn on only map and globe, which is not really found on the earth's surface. It is not really found on the earth's surface. Then these latitudes are circles. These are circles. Why is these all are circles? Suppose here, what is latitudes? Latitudes are imaginary lines which is drawn on the globe and map. It's not, it's imaginary line. We can see these imaginary lines in a globe. So how it is? It is drawn from west to east. It is drawn from west to east. And these latitudes, once if you start to draw these latitudes from west to east or from east to west, if you start to draw these latitudes from here, means some point, and it will get ends in the same point. It will get end in the same point, and it will not intersect with any other point, means any other lines or any other latitudes. It will not be intersected, means it will not be touched, it will not be connected, it will not be joined with any other lines. Once if you start to draw from here, and after completing one complete round, it will come to the same point. You will get the same point there, but it will not be connected with any other line or any other latitude. Is called as circle. It's a complete circle because it's not joined with anything. So it's called as circles. It's drawn from west to east. We say it's drawn from west to east because the earth rotates from west to east. So these are the 2 points we discussed. That how many latitudes we have? How many latitudes? We have drawn the imaginary lines on the globe and map. How many latitudes we have? It must start from the starting point, like numerically 1, 2, 3, 4 is not. Then how many we have? How many latitudes we have? We don't know exactly, it's not. So we'll discuss. There are 180 latitudes. There are 180 latitudes. And the latitude number starts from 0. We have a latitude 0 which denotes 0. This is that latitude which denotes 0 degree. It is that latitude. So it is a very important latitude. It is a very important latitude. Why? This latitude divides Earth into 2 equal half. It's a central circle. It's a centrally drawn circle. So it divides Earth into 2 equal half. So it's called as equator, equal divider. It's called as equator. Equal divider, otherwise equator. So this latitude is very much important because it divides Earth into 2 equal half, as northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. This denotes 0 degree, and what the remaining other latitude that starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 towards southern direction, we have a 90 latitudes. Means 90 circles are there from this 0 equator to the southern direction. We have 90 latitudes. Again, in this northern hemisphere from 1 to 3, we have 90 circles to till northern direction. In southern direction, towards the south pole, we have 90. Towards the ninth pole from the equator, we have 90. So 90 plus 90, 180. So 180 latitudes are there. 180 latitudes are there. 180 latitudes are there. Then equator divides Earth into two equal halves. This equator divides Earth into two equal halves. The degree or the value of equator is 0 degree. So here, write down these points. The latitudes are an imaginary line. Latitudes It's an imaginary line which is drawn only on map and globe. These all are circle because it will be not intersected with any other side line or any circle, so that it is called as a circle. It is drawn from west to east. We have 180 latitudes. Then equator, it divides Earth into two equal halves. The value of an equator is 0 degree. That means that denotes 0 degree. It's drawn in center of Earth, means in the globe. So this equator is only seen on the globe and map. That's it. We cannot see this. We cannot see this equator on real Earth surface because we cannot draw that. There is no any other thing which we can draw equator as like it is drawn in the globe. We cannot draw on the Earth surface. Is it over? Write these concepts like points. We have many things to discuss under this. Write this because I don't have a place for that reason. I will continue with the next point, the same topic. Is that over? Okay. We'll continue. So another important point of this equator is that every equator that gives information about change in a temperature. Every equator, otherwise, okay. We'll write basic first. 180 and from equator to South Pole, there are 90 latitudes. And from equator to North Pole, there are 90 latitudes. So totally we have 180 latitudes. So every latitude that gives information about change in temperature. Every latitude gives information about change in temperature. Change in temperature. How? Here, this 0 degree, the 0 degree latitudes that denotes, means that refers very high temperature. 0 degree latitude means it is very high temperature. That means this place receives very high temperature. That is right. Don't write now. Stop. Listen. Listen. Don't write now. Listen. I will give a time for writing all those things. Now the 0 degree latitudes that denotes, that refers very high temperature which prevails in this area. So as the number of latitude increases, as the number of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 23rd and 66 and 90, as the number of latitude increases, temperature decreases. It's very low temperature in the highest number of latitude, means highest number value of latitude is 90. In both southern pole and northern pole is not. Very low temperature prevails over here in this both the highest value of latitude in the 90 and the 90. Very low temperature in the southern pole and northern pole. Very high temperature in the very low value of latitude, means 0 degree. Value means number. Is not. So here we have 1, 2, 3 up to 23rd latitude. We will be having a different type of climate up to 23rd latitude, the zone. Then from there to 66, we will be having further different climatic changes like different temperature. From 66 towards the pole, we will be having further different changes different climatic changes over there, like a temperature in temperature. So this every latitude that gives information about change in temperature. As the latitude increases, temperature, as the number of latitude increases, the temperature decreases. Good. As the number of latitude decreases, temperature increases. Like the number of latitude 90, 80, 60, 70, it is decreasing number. Then that shows temperature is increasing. When the number of latitude increases from 0, 10, 20, the temperature decreases. So that's what that gives information about. And there are 5 important latitudes. There are 5 important latitudes. Then write on these points. We'll go for next one. Write on this. Write on these points. From equator to the south pole, we have 90 latitudes. From equator to north pole, same, we have 92. Why we have a 90 both in a northern and southern hemisphere? These are the hemispheres. That means they are equal each other. The northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, here it's equal to each other. So that reason we have 90 latitudes there and 90 latitudes in the south and north pole. This every latitude is important point that every latitude gives information about change in a temperature. That gives information about change in a temperature. We are getting use of this latitude. These latitudes are drawn on the global map to get information about change in temperature. Is that over? Okay. There are 5 important latitudes. All these 180 latitudes are important. In among these, we have 5 important latitudes, and which exactly gives information about change in time. And for not only for that, and we get a many importance from that. All those 5 important latitudes we'll discuss. The 5 important latitudes. There are 5 important latitudes. One is Arctic Circle. Earlier I told it's called as a circle. Latitudes are called as circle. Then Tropic of Cancer. Equator. Equator is most important latitude. And Tropic of Capricorn. Then Antarctic Circle. The important circle. What is the important circle? The very important circle. What is that? What is that? It is the equator. Very important circle is the equator, because that divides Earth into 2 equal of as northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. And from the equator, whatever the calculations we have to make, it's taken from the equator, like a northern hemisphere, northern direction, southern direction. So it's very much important. And that shows the equator that this place prevails with a very high temperature throughout the year. It's one important circle. It's about equator. Then in the northern hemisphere we have Tropic of Cancer with a value of 23. It's 23rd latitude. First, second, like this. First, second, third, fourth, 10th, 15th, 20, and 23rd latitude. We have chosen this 23rd latitude as a Tropic of Cancer. We have given name Tropic of Cancer. And 66th degree and off minute, 30 minute or off minute north, it's called as Arctic Circle. In front of these values, we should mention north, south, because the same we have in southern direction. 23rd degree of minute south. Mentioning these directions, north and south, is very much important. In south, we have Tropic of Capricorn, and the same 66 degree of minute south, we have Antarctic Circle. It's northern pole and southern. These are the 5 important latitudes. The 5 important. What is the value of Arctic Circle? 66 degree of minute north. Value of Tropic of Cancer? 23 degree of minute north. Then value of Equator? 0 degree. Then what should be mentioned in front of this? North or south? What should be mentioned in front of this? North or south? Nothing, because it's very exact. Because of this equator, the north and south directions are created. This you can get to know. So then Tropic of Capricorn's value 23 degree of minute south. And Antarctic Circle value 60 degree, 66 degree 30 minute south. These are the values, the 5 important circles in the latitudes. Write on this. Is that all? So we have 5 important latitudes, like Arctic Circle, Tropic of Cancer, Equator, Tropic of Capricorn, Antarctic Circle. So you need to mention the directions in front of these values, because there are both the same values in the southern hemisphere and northern hemisphere. The north, south directions mentioned in front of that is very much important. Is that all? Next we'll go for. So now, why do we call it as a very important lines, very important circles, or very important latitudes? Why we have chosen this as important latitudes? This Arctic, Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn, Equator, and Antarctic Circle. Why we have chosen these 5 important? There are 180. You could have chosen 10 degree or 50 degrees, 80 degree. We could have chosen that as the Tropic of, we could have given name it as a Tropic of Cancer, Arctic Circle is not. You could have given name as Indian Circle, the Mudal Circle, you can give. Then why you have chosen only these 5 important circles? Because these circles act as a boundary, or it has marks as a boundary for the different temperature or different climate over there, different temperature maybe, like temperature. So here, in this area, in between this 23rd degree north and 23rd degree south, only in this area we experience different temperature throughout the year. In this area, in the 23rd, in between this 23rd and 66 degree in the south and as well as in the north both, in this area we experience another different temperatures. And here from 66 to 90, here both same in the north and south, we experience a different temperature throughout the year, which is different than this all the 3. So these circles or these latitudes, it plays or it marked as a boundary for the different climatic changes, different climatic zones. So these are called as heat zones. There are 3 zones, 3 heat zones. So we'll be discussing about that. Heat zones. You know what the zones? Zone, it's like a large area. The area, the zone which will have similarity in it. Zone, the similar things which prevails in that area. Like it's called as a zone. We have 3 heat zones. One is Torrid Zone. Another one is Temperate Zone. Another one is Frigid Zone. These are the 3 zones what we have. These all are the 8 zones. The torrid zone, like the zone which lies in between these Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. This is called as torrid zone. This zone is called as torrid zone. The zone which lies in between this Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, it's called as torrid zone. While in this area, in between these 2 latitudes, in this area that prevails, that receives very high temperature throughout the year. It receives high temperature throughout the year. Why? Because here we have the earth. Here we have earth. Our earth, is it positioned in a like a exact straight in the solar system? No, it is tilted. Our earth is tilted, it's a equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle and Antarctic Circle. It's like exactly in the solar system. Suppose it's a sun. It's a sun, suppose. What happens? Use direct sunlight throughout the year, is not. That means the torrid zone, this torrid zone that receives sunlight throughout the year, directly that receives the sunlight. This zone, the directly that receives the sunlight. This zone for the 6 months, this zone for the 6 months that receives slant sunlight. The directly they don't receive the sunlight. For this 6 months, this areas will receive the sunlight directly. It changes. This now for 6 months, this area is receiving the high temperature, means direct sunlight. This area is not, means like a temperate zone, is not receiving direct temperature for the 6 months. After 6 months, it becomes ulta. That means our earth is rotating. It rotates in the same tilted manner. It rotates. Suppose here we have sun, it rotates and it has came here. Suppose now earth, it has by rotation, it has came here. It has the equator, Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn, Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle. It has came here. We have a sun over here. Now, as we know, this torrid zone that receives highest temperature, this direct sunlight throughout the year. So now, this northern hemisphere is receiving direct sunlight. Earlier, what we discussed, it was not receiving the direct sunlight. Now it is receiving the direct sunlight, but this area is not receiving the direct sunlight. It's receiving the slant sunlight, is not. So after 6 months, it will be receiving a very low sunlight. Then this northern hemisphere, it will be receiving high sunlight. So we experiences summer over there. They experiences some winter. Then when it comes here by revolution, again Earth come over here. And it will be in a tilted same. Then again it receives direct sunlight, it receives slant sunlight. Have got? So because of that, we call it as a torrid zone. That means this zone which receives direct sunlight and it will be receiving high temperature throughout the year. So it's called as torrid zone. To get information about that, the latitudes are helping us. So that's the reason latitudes are drawn. It's scientifically drawn. It's calculated correctly and it is drawn. So then the temperate zone, that means the temperature changes there. For a 6 months it will be having high temperature, and meanwhile it will be having low temperature in the south. It changes again. Next 6 months it receives high temperature, it receives a low temperature. So it's called as temperate zone. Then frigid zone. Frigid. You know about the frigid zone? It is called as a frigid zone because always throughout the year this zone receives low temperature. It will remain low temperature always as like this torrid zone. But this zone changes after 6 months. So it is called as frigid zone because the sunlight will not it will not appear over in the southern pole, northern pole directly. The people who are there, nobody, but the people who are in the south pole, they receive sunlight continuously for a 6 month. For a 6 month, they don't see the night. For a 6 month, there is no night for them. Continuously for a 6 month, they will be receiving the light. Meanwhile, the people who are there in northern hemisphere, they will be in a night continuously for the 6 month. They don't receive the sunlight. It happens because of the earth, it has tilted. These are the heat zones. We'll discuss deeply about this point, these 3 heat zones in the next class. Now, write on this, draw the diagram. Write on these heat zones and we will continue.